During the first half of my senior year of high school, I decided to apply for a job at a gardening company. A friend told me that the position paid higher than minimum wage, which instantly caught my attention. I have never previously held a paying job, which also means I have never been in a job interview. Throughout high school, I've had a few internships, as well as volunteered for various events and projects. The day of the interview, I try to throw on a bit of confidence, comparing this interview to other stressful parts of my life. I needed to act and look somewhat decent for the interviewer. I decided to wear some formal clothing to promote a professional atmosphere around myself. On the way to Panera Bread where my interview was being held, I decided to mentally prepare myself for the questions I might be asked. What achievements are you most proud of? What will you bring to my company? Once inside the Panera Bread, I took refuge in one of the booths. After a few minutes of waiting, I noticed a few of my friends were sitting at a table on the other side of the room. I made my way over to them and began to socialize. At one point, I asked them what their plans were for the rest of the day, to which I got a response, "Well, we're currently waiting for someone to interview us." I then asked them if it was a gardening company, to which they replied, "Yeah." I began to panic. I did not realize this was a group interview. I told them that I was here for that same interview. "No kidding," a friend responded. As I waited restlessly for the interviewer to come, I realized that my friends were not wearing anything formal. I stuck out like a sore thumb among the other applicants. This, on top of the group interview, made me more nervous. Then, there she was walking up to the door in her gardening attire. Great, I told myself. She approached our table as we were the only ones making eye contact with her. "You guys must be who I'm interviewing," to which we replied yes. She shook hands with each applicant, who in return introduced themselves. She sat down and took out nothing but a notebook and pencil. The interviewer began to throw out random questions. "What school did you go to? What grade are you guys in? Do you have a passion for gardening?" These questions made me relax a bit as I could answer each one without any difficulty. Then suddenly she asks, "Do you have a passion for gardening? What has been your previous work experience?" She started on one end of the table, which put me last in answering her question. The other applicants replied with their list of work experience, which made me feel increasingly nervous. What was I going to say? I knew I needed to find a way of sticking out amongst the others. Before I knew it, her eyes glazed upon my face, waiting for an answer. I began by talking about how I used to garden every summer with my family. I told her that we used to grow chilies, carrots, and lettuce, and how I loved to mix the soil with my hands. Then I mentioned that I'm taking earth science classes in school as it could be a possible future job for myself. I told her that I never had a paid job and that I've only volunteered and done internships. After I was done, she returned a blank facial expression. "Well, there's that," I told myself. We answered a few more of her questions until she stood up and thanked us all for coming. When she left, I remember thinking to myself, it's time to look for another job.